Thank you for coming back to share Dharma. And I have a couple of things to follow up on with those announcements. Both days of the retreat coming up, it will be potluck. So bring your nice veggie potluck dishes, which you always do. So thank you. And also, the equanimity and diversity effort that I led 3 classes, 1 October, 1 November, 1 December. We're going to regroup on January 12th, and that'll be from 10 to 12. That's on a Saturday. And we're going to make an ongoing support group for using equanimity and the Dharma to work through the isms of racism, heterosexism, classism, etc. We'll continue looking at articles and exercises and contemplations and just support one another because these issues are so alive in this world. So if you took those classes, you're welcome to come. If you did not take the 9 hours of classes, it was 3 classes, 3 hours each. They are online, and you can catch up. And I do want people to have taken the background classes to be in that group because it was a lot of material, and it can kind of help ground the discussions. Okay, so if you have questions, just talk to me or email me, but I'm really happy to get that effort going again or keep it going. Okay, it's your turn. Everything's going perfectly well in practice. There are no questions. That's dangerous. If you know, my one teacher always said, you need to carry at least one question about your practice. Like it could be, why am I doing this? And what am I doing? So, yeah, all questions are welcome. There's no dumb ones, no dumb questions. Okay, we'll need to wait for the microphone.
This comes from talking with a few folks during a break, is that we noticed that there's at least 4 of us who didn't sleep well last night, woke up at 1:30 or 2:30 or 3:30 and then stayed awake for several hours. And I'm just wondering what the Dharma would, what your experience of dealing with this and using Dharma practice. Because mine was limited. There was some, but It was limited.
Well, that's the first thing I was going to ask is, what did you do?
Yeah. Well, do you want me to tell you what I did?
Yeah, please.
Well, we have a neighbor who has really been going through hell, and I think actually she may have died. And I've been working with some people in the Sangha about this. Actually, I've been sharing this with Bill because he really cares about the situation.
Yeah.
But so I was thinking about her. It helps me, if I don't know what to do in my practice, is to pray for someone else, because otherwise, I just don't have much to do, and except for meditation. And when I'm up in the middle of the night, it's hard for me to just decide to meditate. I'd rather get a cup of tea. So that's the long and short. But I don't know what the other people, what their problems were, but that's my problem, is thinking, well, I'm doing these things, and I was even reading the newspaper, not last night, but at other times, and maybe there's a better way to handle it.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy to hear from other people, but a few things that I've learned from teachers to try. I really like that piece you do already of praying for the person. And what comes to mind is, these states of mind come up that stir us up, right? Like my neighbor's in hell, or what can I do, or, it can be anything. And what I have noticed in my own mind is that my efforts to turn the mind, to tame it, are too weak. So it's like a klesha, you know what kleshas are. They're the disturbed attitudes. They come in like this and grab my mind. It feels like that. There's really no outside klesha. But then my effort is kind of weak. You get what I'm saying? So we need to get some energy behind the effort to tame it. Okay? So that may mean sitting up, getting in front of the altar, pulling out a prayer book, doing any Dharma reading can be helpful with a lot of focus. So the weak thing, because I relate to what you're talking about, the weak thing is to kind of lay there floaty, dreamy, like, oh, I'll do a prayer, but then your mind drifts off to some weird dream and then back. We need, our mind has been going in a certain suffering direction for lifetimes. So it's going to take some energy, some intention, some motivation to turn it. And so that's one of the things I notice. Am I bringing equal energy to this? Like in Kung Fu or Jiu Jitsu, if something's coming at you quick, you got to meet it. You've got to stand up to it, not like pow. That's our usual way. But meet it fully, recognize it, and then you can turn it. But we don't do that. I'm speaking of myself, but maybe it's helpful. We don't tend to do that. We tend to stay a little confused, like I sort of want to apply some Dharma, and I'm not sure, and I'm tired, and my leg aches, and so it's about bringing some real energy there. And then deep refuge. I keep the refuge purse so close in my head that any moment I take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. What does that mean? I don't just say it. It's not a repetitive thing. What does it mean? Oh, okay, what would the Buddha do? What does the Dharma tell me? How does the Sangha act towards this? One of the ways to do that is to call to mind those you admire. Could be Kala Rinpoche, Bokar Rinpoche, Lama Michael. It could be a deity. If you work with Tara and Chenrezig, have them flood the room with light. There's just 1,000 things to do, but what's lacking is we don't remember. And then secondly, we don't bring the equal energy. So that's a bit, I'd love to hear from other people about what they do. I sit up for one thing and turn on the light. First I try and tame it, just laying, because I need the sleep. But if, 20 minutes goes by and I'm not, sit up, turn on the light, go to your altar, face it. Because you'll only need to do that for a shorter time than that whole 2-3 hours of kind of trying to tame it, but not really taming it. Does that make some sense?
There's times when that might have happened, but actually, this is sort of making a confession here, I guess, but actually, I enjoy sometimes being awake. in the middle of the night, you know. And, I mean, like there's
Yeah,
a
it can be
CD
good.
I'm listening to, and there's, you know, sometimes even cooking, you know. You know, or having a cup of tea, and then I might even start filing.
So you go to work. You don't want to waste the time. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I did my prayer. I did it, and I did a lot of what you talked about. But then I wanted my tea, and you know, I mean, I mix it up, which I know is not good. And I have
It might be okay.
I have books on my shrine, and it's like, oh no, I never put like the AARP magazine on top of one of those. You know, that's separate. It's separate.
Good.
But
Yeah.
other than that, I mean, it's really sort of pathetic. So I don't want to talk about myself.
You know, I think you're doing fine with it, and you probably just relax and let it be. You know, this is what I'm doing now. And one thing, like the prayer I led this morning by Lama Zopa Rinpoche, you can say, okay, I'm up in the middle of the night cooking. May this somehow benefit all beings. Just that thought starts turning it, that it's not just my habit for me alone. You know, may I take this shower to benefit all beings. Then that makes me think, how could it benefit anyone? You know, it just seems like, you know, old Zopa in her shower trying to get the right water temperature, you know. So I'm not cold, not too hot. But really, what it can lead you to is a meditation on interdependence. I'm using this water that beings have provided. They're up at night sometimes because they're working at the water company, the electric company, thanking them. Wow. So then you can go right into a gratitude practice. Where does this water come from? I don't know how to make hot water come out of a house, but here I am enjoying it. Or you can open your medicine cabinet of the Dharma and imagine the shower is the Vajrasattva purifying, or Buddha just pouring down light. While you're cooking, you know, chopping up a carrot, where'd that come from? And look at the impermanence of this whole thing, my hand moving, the knife moving. A knife, where'd that knife come from? I don't know how to make a knife, you know. And so you just see that carrot was like this, and in one moment it's all in pieces, and in a half hour it's in my gut, and now I wouldn't want to eat it. So we need to open our minds to these contemplations. I think where I am, I'll just offer it as a model. I'm not at a place where every moment I can see the emptiness and appearance of each thing. I'm not there. Yeah, where you look and say, appearance, emptiness. Everything that appears has emptiness infused. They're completely non-dual. That's a great view. But a lot of the time, that does not, for me, act as an immediate antidote. So it's important to learn the antidotes in the middle turning of contemplating, which is much more conceptual. They aren't opposite each other. They feed each other. So it's very good to learn, you know, I'm awake. I might as well turn my mind to the 4 thoughts that turn the mind. Let me go through those. Turn my mind to the 4 immeasurables. Let me go deeply to those. What happens with us is this kind of flattened out, you know, like I recite the 4 immeasurables. Does anyone experience this? You recite them and you don't feel them, you know. May everyone be happy. Okay, I'm done with that. May everyone be free of suffering. Oh yeah, Well, I better use my broccoli up because it's getting old. This is what we do, right? I mean, you're laughing because you recognize it. And instead, we have to lead our minds. So we go, may everyone be happy. I don't feel that. We have to see it. See that? I don't feel it. So may I be happy. I can feel that. Start there. What kind of happiness am I talking about? I want people to have worldly happiness, food, shelter, clothing, medicine. But really, the most important happiness is that people find a meaningful spiritual path. Because people can go without food, shelter, medicine, clothing, if they have a meaningful spiritual path, because they're not afraid of dying, they're not afraid of hardship. We want all those things for people. We want worldly happiness for them, but we don't want them to be stuck in that and take refuge in it, because it's dukkha, it's suffering. So we wish for them long-term best happiness of a meaningful spiritual path. Now see, this is where we say the prayer, but we need to drop into the contemplations. Make it meaningful to our own hearts. Is this making sense? Who can make it meaningful to your heart? You, nobody else. I don't know that trail in to your heart. You find it. And then the third step, of course, is seeing, coming back to that ultimate view of this is all appearance emptiness. Your neighbor is an appearance completely empty of all those solid parts that we get all freaked out about. I'm just kind of making a face because I don't know what else to say. You're welcome. I'd love to hear from others, either questions or how you deal with this.
I didn't hear the beginning of the question, so forgive me if I'm way off. But Lama Michael once told me that for dealing with difficult situations, aspiration prayers are really helpful.
Yes.
And I find that really, really true.
Yeah.
And for middle of the night things, I'm awake in the middle of the night almost every night since my head injury. And if it's pain, it helps to see myself as Chenrezig and want to provide relief to all the other people in pain. That really, really is helpful.
Yeah.
But one thing that I've just recently learned, I'm reading this phenomenal book about grief by a Zen priest who lost her newborn baby and became a grief counselor. And she said, with respect to grieving, and I think it relates to other situations, is we make it so much worse when we see it as a problem.
Yep.
If we can just be with it and know that it's impermanent, know that it will end and it will come back again, but it will end, and not see it as so hard and fast and real, and not expect that it should be over or that it will end or it should go away because it's wrong. Get rid of all those ideas, but just be with it, relax into it and be with it. And I find that so helpful for so many of these things where I tend to drive myself crazy because that isn't the way it should be.
Thank you. Yeah, very helpful.
First, I want to thank you for the tip of bringing equal effort.
Yeah.
Thank you, and letting me laugh at myself about when I don't bring equal effort, and it keeps fading and morphing into a dream and back for hours.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Floating.
But sometimes I remember what my Root Lama, when he quoted Shantideva, and sometimes I actually can get his teaching to work in the middle of the night because I'm awake because my mind is worrying about something.
Yes.
And something that I can't do anything while I'm lying there. Can't do anything about it, particularly in a worldly way. And when he quoted Shantideva, it was, if I can do something, I will. So why worry? If I can't do anything, I can't. So why worry?
Yeah.
And sometimes if I can do something, it's like an idea sparks. I get up and go in the other room, write it down, and then I can let it go and go back to sleep.
Yeah, excellent. That's a beautiful verse from The Way of the Bodhisattva. Yeah. If you can do it, then plan it, do it, don't worry. If you can't do anything, why worry? Doesn't help. And both of your comments point at this phenomena, this habit we have. The difficult thing occurs, and then our mind piles on suffering on top of the difficult thing. So we suffer a lot more from it, you know. For example, let's say, well, my brother is not a happy camper right now and is struggling with severe aging and probably approaching death. And so I want that to change. And that wish to have it change adds suffering, because it is what it is. And that I can feel the moments when I talk to him or go see him, when I'm in the accepting place, like this is what it is, even accepting his grumpiness about it all. It's so easy. It's so easy to be there. It's so easy to just be with him. But I get in this other place of I don't want this to be happening, so I'm going to make him happy, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. And it's just awful for both of us. So just using that time to watch that fix-it habit, which is non-acceptance. This is such a big thing, this acceptance of what is. It's a big way out of suffering. But I don't have the habit of acceptance. I have the habit of change it, fix it, make it better. And make it better according to my template, which turns out not to be anybody else's. So then we're in this, make it better, but we don't agree. Then we've added another layer of suffering. Yeah, so back there. Yeah, so let's see. Hi.
What I use when I can't sleep at night, or I wake up through the night, or even before I go to bed and I feel I'm not going to be able to sleep, I sleep with my tablet. This is funny, but I carry my tablet to bed, and I have so many downloads on there of spiritual thing. And this is Ajahn Brahm. I don't know if you've heard of him.
Ajahn Brahm.
I just love him.
Isn't
and
he
if
marvelous?
I can't go to sleep, I wake up and I put my tablet on and I just listen to him. And when after he relaxes me so, regardless of whatever the subject is that he's teaching on.
Yeah.
It is so wonderful, and I just love his jokes.
Yeah, I
They
was
are
just going to say
beautiful.
he is so funny.
Yes.
And so deep Dharma.
It is.
Yeah.
And he is my stronghold.
Yeah.
I listen to him frequently.
Yeah.
And also I have soft mantras that I listen to. I wake up in the morning. It helps me to get my day set. After my meditation, I listen to those mantras, and then I'm out the door, and it all works for me.
Yeah, I can see that it does. Thank you. Yeah. So whether it's Ajahn Brahm or a number of people lately in interviews have mentioned Pema Chodron's teachings, you know, I have a stack of books right there next to my bed, and if I wake up, just try and grab one and just read, you know, for a few minutes. Me, I don't stay up very long. I wake up often, but I don't stay awake very long. I'm kind of lucky. I read, I go do my pee, and then I'm like, oh no, that woke me up too much, and then I can read a couple pages and just go back to sleep. But really, we have to, this is part of that energy, bringing the energy. Like, Celeste, you're planning ahead. You're going, I'm going to need this extra energy. So you bring your tablet to bed with you. So you already know, like, I'm getting ready for this, you know. So that's what I mean about that energy. It's like, I know my kleshas are going to rise during the day. I know when I get in a car, if I'm startled, my klesha of anger is going to rise. So I still don't catch it right before it rises, but I catch it really quick after it does. And I'm more working on what's that anxiety at the front end that, you know, precedes that. It's some kind of fear of danger or something. So we need to, the kleshas are, you know, we've nurtured them. We've cultivated them. I don't know if any of you are free of them yet. I hope you are. But who cultivated them? That was the second noble truth of the Buddha. Suffering is the first noble truth. Cause of suffering, where is it? Here, 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 you know. Not somewhere else. So this is where we work. Then that, for number one, helps us stop blaming others, which is just such a great thing, to stop blaming others. You know, it's our karma right now to have the leaders of this country acting the way they're acting. That's our karma. Together as a group, we've created that. Just that thought turns it from them and us. And them and us is not a Buddhist view. Know them, know us. That's a false appearance. So everything that occurs is karma. There's nothing outside of it until you're fully awakened. Then the Buddha's not stuck in that. And we purify it. We're working on it. It's changing. You can see your own mind change, right? You wouldn't come here if you didn't see some effects. So rejoice in those. But there's no one else who's going to dip in here and purify this for us. We need to. Our teachers and the Buddha point the way to go, but we have to go. And the energy we bring to that going is going to help determine how effectively we move on the path. And the stick at the back needs to be the wish for ending suffering for all beings. Because if we're suffering, we're going to just cause suffering due to the deep interdependence. It's so deep we can't even fathom it. I say these words, I don't fathom it either. I still think there's you and me. But it's wonderful when there is a feeling of, I can't be here if you're not here. And how could we be in this building without everyone who built it, even way before KCC bought it? People came here and went to church. I heard there were 3 different kinds of churches in here: Catholic, Protestant, and kind of a New Agey one. From a neighbor who came when we were building, she came to see what we were doing. And she said, oh, there's been so many churches here. So we can thank all those people way, way back in the 1930s who decided to build a building dedicated to some faith practice. Yeah.
I struggle knowing when to let things be as they are and to have it be my personal practice, as opposed to becoming involved to social injustices or other injustices. And how do I know what to do, whether to act or not act?
What do you do now to sort it, Linda? Because you're pretty skillful, I think, at least from the outside here. So you're using something already.
My favorite phrase is, when in doubt, don't.
Yeah, say more. I want to hear more. When in doubt, don't.
When I feel like I don't have a skillful means, and I'm not sure if this is the right thing to do, just sit on it.
Yeah. And is that different than a long-term pattern of fixing, helping? Or how did you come to doing that? I mean, did you see that you were doing a lot and it wasn't so helpful, or what?
Yeah, I learned that phrase in Al-Anon, actually.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's an Al-Anon phrase.
Yeah.
Okay, say it again.
When in doubt, don't.
Yeah, okay. I love that. I love that you shared that, because my take on that I have to tell me, because I'm a child of an alcoholic family, and you learn to do too much, way beyond your capacity, and you take over, even as a child, roles that the parents aren't able to play right then. So you're kind of on, a little too much. You might have noticed that about me. Anyway, so my take on that is refrain, Zopa, refrain. And I have to tell myself sometimes, because this urge to act, this urge to fix, I also think it's a bit cultural, a kind of an American thing, like don't wait to think, just do it. Don't figure out how this situation started, bomb someone, and I mean, I'm laughing, but it's the truth. So we don't know how to refrain, and that's something that the Eastern religions have, I think, to show us and bring to us. Like, just be, until you understand what's called the wa in Chinese. Like, you come into a place, just be there till you understand the wa. You understand what's going on. Quick example, when I was a young activist lawyer, we wanted to help the Black community, which was, it was a good motivation, but we were all white. And so we came to we made contact with some Black leaders because they wanted us to do some stuff for the Black United Front. And we had our ideas of what to do as lawyers. We wanted to file big, important cases that would take 2 years to go through the courts, and et cetera. And they said, no, we want you to start a very simple legal aid type clinic in the Black community. And I didn't want to do that because that didn't feel fix-it enough. So we did. I mean, we followed their lead. Thank goodness we had the wisdom to do that. And we set up a successful legal aid clinic with the name of the Black United Front on it, through the support of St. Andrew's Church. But my point is that took this refraining from arguing for no. We are offering legal services and we want it to go this way. And just stepping back and going, oh, there's a WA here. There's a community here who knows what it needs. And if we're offering service, then we come in and say, really, we are offering service. Tell us what to do. But it was not the training I had gotten. You know, it's like, you kind of get what I'm saying, right? So too often we step in and we start doing, without even understanding what's going on there. And that do can add more suffering rather than relieve suffering. So back to your question, how do you figure it out? Run the experiment. You know, you are doing it, you're living it. You run the experiment. Sometimes I see, oh, I overstepped. That was not so great. Come on back. Keep doing our practice. The practice of calm abiding helps us see what's going on. See our urge, right? Feel that urge is so hard to catch before we're right already moving. And so shamatha helps us even in our sitting, the urge to move, the urge to, ooh, I gotta really move my knee, or I gotta look up, I gotta look down, I gotta think about this other thing. I can't do calm abiding right now. I gotta think over this problem. There's an urge there, and it's so important to just feel that. Go in your body, mindfulness of body. What's that urge feel like? And then we drop into more wisdom, I think. That's my experience. Thanks for that question. I think a lot of us share that. So there's two more. Yeah, Camilo and Jane.
I want to respond to that question about not knowing what to do because you don't know if it's the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think the first thing to do is to lose that idea that there's a right thing.
Nice. Yeah.
I think about this matter a lot because I am a very engaged social activist, and I participate in a lot of different things, and I wonder, why isn't everybody else getting organized and mobilized? And I realize that there's no single way to have an impact. And I think it's important to recognize that whatever you do, even if it's just sitting on the cushion, is something. But I think it's important to come to terms with this sense of, well, if I don't know what to do, I'm not going to do anything.
Yeah.
Because we cannot afford that.
Mm-hmm.
There's too much harm. And you said earlier that what we're facing now politically is a result of our karma. So that means to me that there's something that we can do about it.
Yep. And I love that you are saying there's no one right thing. For someone, the right thing is go out and protest, go to meetings. For someone else, it's do your loving kindness on the cushion, sending it to those you feel are enemies. Yeah, there's 10,000 million things that can be done. Thank you. Jane, last question of the morning or comment.
This is kind of my contribution to the things that have been said, especially Linda and Camila's. One thing that helps me greatly to refrain is from Shantideva, once again. In one place, shortly after he says what he says, that don't worry about it, he says, if there is nothing you can do and you don't know what to do, then do the noble practice of being a log. Just be a log. And it struck me as funny the first time I read it, and then I tried putting it into practice, and it works beautifully because it is doing something.
Yeah.
You're being a log. You're being silent. You're refraining. You're waiting to see what the wah is. And it's it's kind of sounds silly, but it's a very good practice sometimes to, restrain yourself from doing or saying and just be a log, observe, and then you'll know where to go.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and it does not mean stay a log forever. As Camilo points out, we be a log when we might just add more suffering. Thank you. Let's dedicate. Thank you so much for the discussion. By this virtue may I quickly realize Mahamudra and establish all beings without exception in this state. Thank you so much, and we'll see you tomorrow and the next day. If you have any time in the New Year's, please come by and be with us.